But I'd like to talk a little here about Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura is the biggest dirtbag I've ever met, and I've had the displeasure of meeting him, I believe, twice. But once, I had the grand displeasure to have to sit at CNN in the makeup chair next to that guy as we were both getting ready. He was getting ready to go on Larry King, and I was getting ready to do my show. And at the time, I was just one of the schlubs, and so I didn't have the option of not being in the same room with Jesse Ventura. And Jesse Ventura spouted his nonsense, his conspiracy theories, and his absolute vile hatred for anything that represents anything decent in America. He claims to be a Navy SEAL, which he was. But he's one of the most dishonorable Navy SEALs I've ever met. Every single Navy SEAL I've ever met has real honor. Treats his fellow SEALs like a family. Jesse Ventura is a dirtbag. Jesse Ventura is, I don't know if he's suffering from some sort of post-traumatic syndrome here where he has just been traumatized. I don't know if he has been kicked in the head with the butt of a gun so many times that he has no idea what he's even saying anymore. But he is a reprehensible human being. CNN reports that Jesse Ventura filed a lawsuit last year accusing Kyle of defaming him in a book by exaggerating his description of a fight between the two in the wake for a fallen Navy SEAL who was killed in Iraq. The book quoted Ventura as a Navy veteran saying he hates America and telling Kyle, who was mourning the death of a SEAL teammate, "You deserve to lose a few." Last night I sat at my dinner table with a man who is still trying to hold on to himself after being the lone survivor. A man who has buried now 67 of his friends for a war that no longer makes any sense. Those are my words, not his. And I've never heard him say anything like that. And I have heard Jesse Ventura say things like that before. In the suit, Ventura denied making the statements, contending that the entire story about a confrontation with a physical assault and battery of Governor Ventura, as CNN likes to call him, was false and defamatory. Let me tell you something. I wasn't there, but I absolutely believe Chris. I don't believe Jesse Ventura. Have you ever watched his show? Have you ever listened to this man?
Oh, yeah. And he claims to be a Navy SEAL. He actually wasn't.
Oh, you're kidding me. I thought he was.
He was part of an underwater demolition team 12. He left the Navy 8 years before they were combined with the SEAL teams.
He was complaining about the war, that we shouldn't be there. He was complaining, this is what Kyle testified. Complaining about Bush, that Bush was a war criminal, how we were killing innocent men and women and children overseas. I've heard him say those very things. Kyle acknowledged in his deposition, saying that he hated Ventura with a passion. Stand in line in that one. His relationship with another politician was warmer. His company did some security work for Governor Palin, whom he met while on Stars Earn Stripes reality show with her husband, Todd. Chris was a wonderful man, a good friend, a true American hero who loved our country and served honorably. He was loved and admired by so many, he'll never be forgotten, said the Palins. Much of Kyle's time since leaving the military was spent building Craft International, which offers military training for law enforcement and provides security services. His company also organized civilian and corporate shoots at gun ranges. By the way, Jesse Ventura now says he'll go after the family's money. He's going after the estate. I want you to know that Chris never took a dime from his book. His best-selling book, he didn't take a dime for it. He poured it all into his charity. What's his charity? To help other veterans. Meanwhile, Jesse Ventura, all he does is spread hate. Chris tried to spread love. Chris tried to help. And don't watch your words very carefully, what anybody ever says about Chris and how this thing went down. Watch your words very carefully, because I am telling you now, it is not my place to discuss any of it. But I will tell you this. You will come to regret those words if the true story ever comes out on what's going on. But at this point, it would only do more harm to families. But you watch your words very carefully. All these people like Jesse Ventura or Ron Paul, who never take the media's word, never take the media's word. Oh, boy, they are so fast to take the media's word on this one. Oh, they can't wait to jump in on the media story on this one. I wonder why. Has Ron Paul? I know that Jesse Ventura has thought about the children because he's thinking about taking the money from the children. Has Ron Paul even thought about the family? Has Ron Paul even thought about the children? Has he thought about his daughter? Has he thought about his 8-year-old son? My daughter and my son, who are the same age, spent the weekend learning how to ride a bike. Chris Kyle's children spent the weekend trying to begin to understand that Dad's not coming home ever again. Has Ron Paul even thought about that? Jesse Ventura certainly has. We as a family is Mercury, and Mercury 1 today are putting our money where our mouth is. Chris Kyle was trying to help a guy who was down. He was not trying to cure PTSD. He was not doing some therapy. He was helping someone who was down. You remember that? It was help your neighbor. I am currently in this pause saying a prayer. Lord, give me strength not to tell you the details. He was helping his neighbor. And his neighbor was sick. And his neighbor shot Chris violently, gunned him down. Chris didn't lose his life in service of his country. He gave his every minute of every bit of his life to serve his country. He died serving a friend. He was murdered. And he left behind a wife, and 2 children, 6 and 8. His friend, who was also just helping a friend, Chad Littlefield, left behind a wife, a daughter, and a son. Yesterday, we asked Mercury One to put up a donation page. One that would go for Chris Kyle's family and the foundation to help veterans. 100% of everything that goes into this fund is going directly to these funds for veterans and for Chris Kyle's family. Yesterday, I asked you if you would go to mercury1.org and donate, and you donated $42,320. As a family, Mercury One, we're going to ask if you haven't given, knowing the situation of the families that they have nothing. We're going to ask you if you haven't given, if you would. And to prove that we mean what we say, we're going to donate $50,000 ourselves. $25,000 to Chris Kyle and his family. And for Chad Littlefield, who just answered the phone that morning when a friend said, you want to come with me and help out a guy who's a little down? Chad Littlefield and his family, $25,000. If you would like to help, if you would like to pick up where the government has not left off, but shamelessly dropped the ball, if you'd like to stop pointing fingers and use your hand instead of pointing, but to help. Please go to mercury1.org now.